Hello everyone and welcome to the first week of our course on data science software and computation experience for 2024. I'm Professor Cheng Wei from NYCU, a National Yangming Jiaotong University, NYCU National Yangming Jiaotong University. And I teach in College of AI, which is located at Tainan. And I'm excited to guide you through this journey of data science and computational experimentation. You might have noticed that I'm not adopting an English name. This is a personal choice, as I prefer to maintain our original names in international settings. However, I do recognize that the English pronunciation of my name can be a little bit challenging, especially for people who only speak English. And it doesn't quite match the original Chinese pronunciation either. So it's kind of defy the purpose to maintain your original names. To make things easier and to make communication with international friends easier, I sometimes introduce myself using the initial as TJW or maybe sometimes TJWEI, TJ Wei. Now, let me give you some quick overview of what we will covering in the course. In today's lectures, I will first give some overview of this course, what is contained in this course, and then I will state some rules for this class. And finally, we are going to talk about the first part of our course, that is the first topics of our course, that is NumPy. So what will be content will be covered in our course this year? We'll start with the some fundamentals of data manipulations using NumPy and pandas. And then we will explore some machine learning techniques. At the beginning, we are using NumPy and maybe pandas to develop some simple machine learning algorithm from scratch. Something like a nearest neighbor or PCA that is widely used in machine learning. And then we will teach you scikit-learn, and we'll use scikit-learn to do some basic machine learning and tasks. And so then you will learn to visualize your data using tools like Matplotlib, Plotly, and Seaborn. We're also going to use some frameworks like Gradio to construct some user interface. Gradio is a framework for user interface specifically target for developers who are born into data science, AI, or machine learning, so that they can build user interface quickly around some algorithm or models they have developed. We are also going to explore deep learning with PyTorch, and probably we are also going to cover some materials about the Hugging Face libraries like Transformer. Finally, we will take a look at the libraries that can help you to track or manage your experiments, like using TensorBoard or maybe using weights and bias, which is a service that is very popular and it has some free usage. So in this course, we will emphasizing practical and hands-on experience with these tools. So in summary, in this course, you will gain hands-on experience with some industrial standard softwares, analyzing complex datasets, and develop the skills so that you can handle or manipulate data. Our goal is to equip you with these tools and knowledge and techniques so that you can tackle some real-world data challenges. As usual, we are hoping you can enjoy, not only you have the skills or techniques to dealing with data, but also you can enjoy to play with data. So if you have the ability, if you have the capability to enjoy, to play with data, then the whole internet is going to be your playground. So that is our ultimate goal here. So what's new in this year? So there has some recent change in this year, and one of them I start from last year. So first of all, we are going to use English as our primary language for communication in the class. We have done this since last year. As I would like to provide some context for this change. In fact, in previous years, this course has been taught, was taught in Chinese for like 5-6 years. However, we switched to English since last year. This change is primarily due to our current educational policy in Taiwan. I understand there has a lot of different pros or cons for using English as a primary teaching language. But obviously, I'm not the one to make this education policy for Taiwan. So we decide to just follow the policy and see what happens. And secondly, in this year, we are placing a stronger focus on the use of generative AI. I'd like to elaborate this point a bit. While we won't have a dedicated unit specifically focused on generative AI tools, but you will notice that we will be using these tools everywhere around our class in various aspects. This integration is inevitable due to the rapid advancement in the field. I acknowledge that there are still some debates in academic and professional circles about whether or how to use these tools. However, for this year's course, we have decided to embrace these trends and see what kind of impact they will make. Okay, so go for the third bullet point. Last year, 2023, we did some experimental attempt to introduce more stuff about some cutting-edge tools like Rust and Polars. These tools are getting popular and more popular and popular in the context of data science, especially for productional use. However, in this year, we make a shift back to more Python-based tools or more well-established tools instead. I want to explain this decision a bit, as it wasn't an easy one to make. As a developer and a technologist, I'm always excited to introduce novel tools that push the boundaries and we can do new things better and faster in data science. This cutting-edge technology is often represents the most thrilling aspect of our field. However, I've come to realize that newer tools can sometimes reflect more to personal opinion or preference. It is not that universal, so it may not serve as a good tools to teach in an introductory course like this one. A tool that may excite someone might not resonate with another one. So after some careful considerations, I've decided to focus on more widespread fundamental tools. While this might not always be the most exciting, most new cutting-edge options, they provide a solid foundation. That's crucial for, I think, for students to develop or to learn as a data scientist. These tools are more universally applicable and will give you a strong base to build upon. So that being said, I want to strongly emphasize and that I actually encourage all of you to explore and experiment with cutting edge and new tools. You will only know how good or how bad these tools are only if you have tried them by yourself. Like I said, the choice of which tools or which cutting edge tools to use is more depends on personal choice or personal preferences. So you have to try it on your own. The reason that we didn't choose these new cutting edge tools and focus on more established tools in this course is purely for educational purpose. It is about to strike a balance between providing you with a solid foundation and preparing that you to the diverse of the tools available in the data science that you may encounter later in your career, in your study or in your career. So just remember that the skills you learn with these boring or more common or more popular tools can still transfer to the use of new tools. So after you learn these more fundamental tools and build up your foundations, it will actually make you easier to understand why these new tools and what kind of the problem these new tools is trying to solve. So while we are focusing on the basics here, so don't let that stop you from exploring all those new cutting edge tools on your own time. Okay, finally, this class will be conducted remotely, will be online this year. So how do we actually execute this remote class? I will elaborate this just after a couple of slides later. So before that, let me introduce some resources that we are going to use in our class. So our class, we have a course page which has a domain name, dss24.tjwei.tw. DSS stands for Data Science Software, and 24 because this year is 2024. And you may see that I have introduced that TJWEI is the initial of the spelling of my English name. At least TJW is, and my last name is Wei, so it is WEI. And TW is Taiwan. So it's quite easy to remember this name. Even if you don't remember the whole thing, remember the last two parts. TJWEI, that is my name, and TW is Taiwan. So just link to tjw.tw and you will find a link to this website. So let me show you the website. So if you just type tjw.tw, so you'll find the first one is data science software and computation experiment here. And this is the website. You can also find some links to the web page of last year and before last year. This one is the pre-2023. So it is written, most of the stuff is written in Chinese. So this you will find some videos or lectures or reference or links to the stuff. Some of them are quite useful. Also, like if you visit the repo, we're going to GitHub repo a little bit later, but you can see that in the previous web page of the course, you can find the repo here, and you can find a lot of links to some very useful resource. So this one is to a book which called the Python Data Science Handbook by Jack Van Der Plas. This is a free book. Although it might date a little bit, like 2 or 3 years too old maybe, but it covers a very good foundation and kind of share with us the topics we are going to talk in this class a lot, like the NumPy, pandas, and the MapReduce app, and machine learning. So this one is a good book that you can still read, and also there are a lot of links to some resources that I think useful in previous years of the same class here. Since the last year, we are going to shift our primary language in English, so you can see that the web page of last year is mostly English. In last year, we have a challenge that is cooperated with KK Company. We don't have this year, but you can also find some data set that is pretty interesting from this page. And also in the GitHub repos here, you can find a lot of codes related to this class. Many of them are still remains the same. But we're going to update the repos this year. Also, you can find the video, lecture video, the list of lecture videos in the I think in the repo or in the I will talk about it a little bit later. But you can see that in this course website, maybe I shall go to here. This is a course website. You can find the videos link of every week here. We'll put the video links here. And also you can see the Slido. You will see a Slido link right here, in which you can ask any question related to this course. And I will have a video response to your question if you have provide some questions. Even you are too shy to ask questions, I think you don't have to be shy, because this Slido site can be anonymous, so you don't have to show your name. But just say for some unknown reason you are too shy, you can still interact with this Slido website by voting. If you see someone is asking something, you think this question is pretty good, I agree with this question, I have the same question, you can vote this some others submitted question or problem. I can vote up so I can see them more easily. So I encourage you to ask questions on this Slido site. So each week we have independent, we'll separate Slido page, so you can ask questions related to that week. If you are not sure which week it is, you just ask your submit your question to the latest one, and I will see it. And also I will show the homework, more some description of the homework in this page. And as the time goes, I will add some reference to some resource that I mentioned in the lecture. And we also have a GitHub repo. Currently, it doesn't have much things, but eventually it is going to be like something like last year, contains a lot of different codes. In last year, we have a video, video.tjwtw. You can see that in this deep generative models, this is for the course I teach online in last semester. So it contains a lot of video. I maintain a video list. So in previous years, I also maintain a list for the course I was currently teaching. And after I have a new class, so I will override the pages by new videos. But this year, I think it should be easier to edit the Notion page of this one. This one is developed, organized using the Notion. So you can see the straight line here. So instead of using this website built by GitHub, organized by using GitHub tools, I decide to just put the links of videos in this course web. That would make things easier. So that's another small change this year. Okay. And finally, we also use E3. E3 is the web service provided by National Yangming Jiao Tong University. We primarily use this website as a platform so that you can submit your homework. We'll duplicate the homework description on this site too, so that you can easily check the requirements. What is the requirements of this homework? All homeworks are in the form of using Jupyter Notebook. So I will talk homework a little bit later. But the format of the homework is that you are asked to write or to develop, construct a Jupyter Notebook and submit to the E3 website. So same as the GitHub repo, most of our code are represents in the format of IPython notebook or Jupyter Notebook format. The situation is kind of like the situation we were facing in the Rust, the Polar things. Jupyter Notebook is a good tool for educational purpose. They are still be very widely using by people, or not just for like schools. People are using this to do some to explain things, to show demos. But a lot of functionalities of Jupyter Notebook has been replaced by other more fundamental tools. So for example, if you wish to do the development, there are better tools using Visual Studio Code. There are other ways to do that instead of using the Jupyter Notebook directly. Unless you want to keep these charts or the graphics that you have generated. But if you wish to do so and do it more systematic way, you probably can use like something like TensorBoard or something to log all your things. Sometimes we use, and especially in previous years, like 2 or 3 years ago, people use Colab to do a demo, like a prototype, because in Jupyter Notebook it has a IPY widget, so you can actually do a interactive demo there. But this kind of functionality is sort of replaced by things like Gradio or Plotly Dash, so that they can host on Hugging Face or other service, similar service, instead of in a Jupyter Notebook form. So a lot of functionalities and usage of Jupyter Notebook is sort of questionable because they can be replaced by other tools. But still, I think Jupyter Notebook still serves as even currently it serves as the best tools for educational purpose. Maybe this purpose will be replaced by other tools, but I think it is still a very good tools to like what I can use. I mainly use this tool, Jupyter Notebook, as my format for demonstrate things. It's still better, and like when I wish you to submit your work as a homework in one file, it is still a format to go. So just recall that although we are primarily using Jupyter Notebook in our lecture, in our course, it doesn't mean this is the tools of our choice. It doesn't mean that I'm telling you that in data science, you should always use Jupyter Notebook. In the contrast, I think in most of scenarios, you probably should use other format, use other tools instead. But we are choosing it in our course primarily for the educational purpose. Okay, so what about the lecture videos? So our lecture videos will be available on YouTube. The length will be vary from 1 to 3 hours. So although our course is should have like 3 hours length, so each hour may be like 40 to 50 minutes. However, if we are recorded in a video format, the video lectures tends to be more condensed, more intense than live lectures. Also, after I record the video, I will edit out sometimes, or maybe often I will edit out or cut some of the part. So the video lecture is usually more intense or more condensed. So sometimes the video of 1 week will be only like 1 hour, but it doesn't mean that I cheat to just reduce the material. It just maybe I edited the videos so that it is more condensed. Also, these videos will, because they are serving on YouTube, I will provide a subtitle, a closed caption for these videos. Most of them are generated by Whisper. That is automatic speech-to-text algorithm that is very popular. The accuracy is pretty good, but still, because we probably were using some terminologies, technical terminologies, and sometimes because my pronunciation is not perfect, so it may have some errors. So please inform us if you find any errors in the subtitles when you see the video. So you can use either subtitle, either in English or in Chinese. But just remember they are not perfect. Use as is. And we are also using the Slido for QA sessions. So one thing that one cons of the remote lecture video, especially like the format we are using, the pre-recorded video, is that it lack of the decent interactions. So you may find that sometimes you have difficulty to understand and then there's no way to ask questions. So we provide a Slido for QA sessions. So please use this one. And you can find the links on our course website, of course. Next, let we talk about the homework assignment. So there will be approximately one assignment every 3 weeks, totaling 5 assignments for the semester. All these assignments will be in a format of ISON notebook. You are going to submit an E3 website, and these assignments serve as a record and proof that you complete the work required in the description of the homework by your own independently. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into my approach and my teaching philosophy. I strongly believe that what you learn is far more important than the grades you receive. It sounds a little bit idealism and not practical, but in fact I strictly adhere this principle and practice this in real life. I do believe this is true. In fact, I believe that you have the sole responsibility to learn things in this course, in the lecture. I will do my part to do my best to provide the information to instruct in the lecture. I won't do anything to push or to force you to learn things, like given some very difficult homework or given some penalty if you doesn't do very well in the homework assignment. I don't want and I will not do these things to force you to learn. So as a result, the passing bar for the assignments is set relatively low. The bottom line is I won't use high pressure as a motivator for your learning. I believe that in giving you space to grow and improve on your term is more important and is the right way to do so. And but however, I'm hoping you are not underestimating this course, the difficulty or the challenge of this course. Because there's less pressure from me, you might tend to underestimate the difficulty of the assignment. So you have not allocated enough time to practice and complete the homework in this course properly. It is very easy to fall in that trap. So this could lead to cutting corners, or you may want to cheat to copy others' works. I mean, eventually, you will need to rely on your own rationalities to make decisions, to allocate your time, not just surrender to the pressures. So anyway, you need to find a way to allocate the sufficient time and effort, not driven simply by your emotion caused by the pressure, but by your own understanding of the importance of each course. Okay, another issue is whether you should use AI tools or not. Because it is difficult to judge the proper use of how to properly use AI tools. However, so my policy is this: using AI tools is allowed and even encouraged, but the key principle is the same. That is, you must be able to use these tools independently and have enough judgment to use them appropriately. Because there's no universal accepted standard to how to use AI tools in learning things or in academic works yet. Some people stand that we should forbid the AI tools altogether, but I don't think that is practical because people are going to use AI tools and it is difficult to detect who use it or not. But as the philosophy I was mentioned above, because you take the sole responsibility for learning things, so I'm leaving this decision to you. So how or whether or how much the AI tools you should use for homework, you should make a decision. The goal of taking this course is to learn the topics like NumPy, Pandas, or all these tools. So that is the ultimate goal, and you can decide whether or how much AI tools you should use to achieve this ultimate goal. So my only requirement for this is just helping you to don't fool yourself. Is that the requirement is that if you use AI tools, just please write down a record what prompt or what AI tools you were using on the notebook that you submit in the homework. That's all. So just remember the goal of this assignment is to ensure you are keeping up with the course materials and you are learning something. Topics. Let's talk about topics that we are going to cover in this course. The first is NumPy. NumPy is the fundamental library in Python for scientific computing. It provides a powerful n-dimensional array object and tools for working with these arrays. NumPy is used extensively in data analysis, machine learning, and scientific simulations. So in this course, we will cover the following topics in NumPy. So first of all is the understanding of the fundamental data structure, which is ND array, n-dimensional array. It's spelled like ND array, NDARRAY, and how to efficiently use these array operations, especially like broadcasting or like fancy indexing. Also, because the ND array is closely related to the matrix, so we're focusing on the linear algebra operators or like the tensor operators. The second one we are going to focus is the data frame. Pandas is probably the most popular library for data frame, which can be very powerful to do data manipulation and analysis. Although there are many other libraries that also have the functionalities similar to Pandas, and they have some spatial functionality that solve the problems of Pandas, like polars, like maybe Dusk or other libraries. A lot of things they can do things in parallel in a cluster or in doing more faster. But Pandas is still very popular. The fundamental data structure is sort of like the ND array in NumPy, but it has more, but it provides more data structures and operation. so that you can manipulate in the tabular data. It is widely used in data science, finance, and business intelligence. So we are going to introduce data structures like series or data frame in pandas, and how to do the data loading, how to manipulate the data like basic filtering, sorting, grouping, aggregations, or maybe something like more advanced like a pivot. If the time is allowed, we probably will also going to cover important topics, that is handling missing data and do the data transformation. We're going to cover some of it anyway, because it is very frequently or almost inevitable if you are dealing with real world data. But it is because they have a lot of different technique and a lot of things need to be concerned when dealing with missing data. So we probably will not going to do very systematically or thoroughly on these topics. We probably will just use some of the most important or frequently used techniques. And then we are also going to do machine learning things. We will start with developing some algorithm from scratch using NumPy to develop algorithm like maybe like PCA or like nearest neighbor. But we will then use scikit-learn to learn more fundamental concept of machine learning and more evaluation metrics that is very widely used in machine learning and what this metrics represents. Also, we are going to for the next bullet point, we are going to talk about Matplotlib, Plotly, or Seaborn, all these data visualization tools. Matplotlib is a widely used Python library for creating the static, animated, or even interactive visualization. And Plotly has served the Plotly can also provide interactive publication quality graphs, and the Seaborn has a high-level data visualization library that builds on top of Matplotlib. All of these libraries can do data visualization, but they serve in different purpose. So we introduce them so that you can choose in the proper situations. So that you can choose proper tools in proper situations. And next, we are going to introduce the UI tools, Gradio. Gradio is an open source Python library for creating user interface, mostly for machine learning models. So it allows you to quickly and easily create interactive demos and applications, even if you are not familiar with like a front-end design or other GUI design things. So it's a perfect fit and very useful tools for data scientists. And we are also going to introduce deep learning libraries like PyTorch and transformers. PyTorch is a deep learning framework that is widely used in research and industry. It provides a flexible and efficient way to build and train deep learning models. Transformers is a PyTorch-based library. Mostly we use PyTorch as a PyTorch-based library that provide the state-of-the-art deep learning models that use in transformers. It plays very important roles in both the large language models and also it can be used in image generative models like diffusion models. And finally, we are going to talk about TensorBoard and weight and bias. So these are tools that you can track your experiment. TensorBoard provide visualization tools to track your metrics, your experiment metrics, and like learning rate, like the loss, so that you can track the performance of your model in the training and see if there are anything like a bug in your algorithm. And weight and bias is a cloud-based tools for experiment tracking. So it is very popular and widely used. A lot of libraries, frameworks, maybe like transformers or other, a lot of tools like for fine-tuning or training large language models support weight and bias. So although it is, I don't think it is open source because it is a cloud-based tool, but since it is a very widely used, so and I mean you have to, it's a cloud-based service, so you have to register and get an API key before you can actually use it. But since it is so widely used, so we are probably going to cover some basics about it. Okay, so that's probably about the overview of this course. So I'm really looking forward to exploring these topics with you and helping you to develop the skills so that you can have enough tools to play in data science. I'm looking forward to exploring these topics with you and helping you to develop your skills in data science, software, and computational experience. In this course, we will have a lot of hands-on experiments. Some of them are homeworks, and some of them are in class little quest, so that can help you to actually have hands-on experiments on these tools. In our next session, we will dive deeper into NumPy, which is the foundation of many data science operations in Python.